Wow, you guys are right on time. Lots of people jumping on right here at 8 p.m. Hi, Fran and Naomi. If you're watching, please comment so I know who's here. I'm very excited about tonight's projects because I needed some storage solutions. So I got online and I checked something out, and then I was able to alter it a little bit to accommodate my needs. So let's see who's here. Fran, Naomi, hi Bonnie and Miriam, or is it yes, Miriam, Susan. I'm not sure how to pronounce the next name. Sangita? Hi Patricia. Oh, Sangeeta from Albuquerque. Wow. Hi, Avis. Patricia's in Indiana. Susan Thompson is from Miami. Wow, this is awesome. Excuse me. If you would take a moment to share, I would appreciate this very much. I have two announcements. The first is I have a class to go featuring the See the Good stamp set. And the reason I love that stamp, I love everything about the stamp set, but what really drew me to it initially was the sentiment that says, when I see the good in the world, I see you. And we certainly live in a time where people need to hear that they're doing good and that they are making a positive difference in this world. So that's really what drew me to the stamp set. But I love the images. There is one other sentiment. I can't thank you enough. And I do send a lot of thank you notes. So that's nice to have. But here's two of the cards. And here's the other two. And with this class, I teach you a technique. In the tutorial, there will be a link for a video included to show you how to sponge, add a second color of ink using sponge daubers. So adding it directly to your rubber stamp. And that's how I got those nice different shades in the artichokes and the pears. So you are going to learn a new technique with that. The class is $45. It includes shipping. It includes $31 of product, plus the additional supplies you may need to make, and envelopes that you need to make those 6 cards, and along with the PDF tutorial with that video link. The deadline to sign up for that, though, is Friday. Please make sure you pre-order that class to go by Friday. There is also the option to purchase just the PDF tutorial. What's my second announcement? Oh, my In Color clubs have been announced this week. If you get my email newsletters, that went out earlier this week. It will go out more times because that due date is a few weeks out yet. But if you want to get on that first round, please sign up as soon as possible. You don't pay for anything now, but you will be billed monthly for your 5 months. And each month you will get the products in that particular new in color. So for example, the first one might be polished pink, the next one might be pale papaya, then fresh freesia, then soft succulent, and then evening evergreen the last month. So it's a great way for you to get your collection of all the in color products, but to spread out that expense over a period of 5 months. You will also receive a handmade card in each of those packets for the 5 months. So that'll give you some ideas of things you can make with that particular new in color. And there's 2 options, the basics, or the second option is the I want it all option. And those people will also receive a special gift each month in their packet. So who's ready to see today's project? Okay, so this is how I came to this. We're always looking for better storage solutions, correct? I wanted a better way to store my embossing folders. Some of them I have attached to the stamp set or bundle that they are part of in a suite. Others I had in this box, which is way too big, and they're all falling down and different things. So I thought maybe the best thing to do is put them all in one place, but have them divided by size. So look what I've done. For those large embossing folders, I've got this. For our standard size embossing folders, I've got this holder. I made these all to match. And then I even made a small one to hold our smaller embossing folders. We don't have a whole lot of these, but they need a place of their own as well. And this way I figured, well, I could set them out across. I'm not gonna be able to hold this up on a shelf like that. Or I can turn them this way and just pull the size I need and then kind of leaf through them. So this is what I'm going to show you how to make today. It's super easy using the dimensions I have for you. I will say that I cased one from C.M. Donaldson, Poodles Crafts, and then the other two I just adjusted the width and came up with my own measurements and template. So let me show you right now how to do that. If you haven't already shared, I would appreciate it if you would do that now. And I'm going to flip my camera around. And I'm going to try to watch my space very closely because I want you to see as much of my paper trimmer as possible. Now here is my cheat sheet. I have all the measurements I need written out and I'm keeping it close at hand. When I post, and actually I could take a picture of this and post it to this Facebook page in the same post where this video will show up after I'm finished with the live. But I will also include all of these measurements when I add this to my blog post. And that will probably be, because I've already scheduled some out. So it'll probably be on my blog and on my YouTube starting, or maybe this weekend, maybe Monday, okay? So just be aware of that. If you want to take notes on the measurements, you certainly can, but don't feel that you have to. You can always go back to the video and I will also have this for you on my blog and YouTube coming up soon, within less than a week. All right, so let's start by making the largest box, just because that's probably the easiest one for you to see as I go through the process of making it with you. You're going to start with a piece of 11-inch by 10-inch cardstock. So for the large one, you do need to use a piece of it. Start with a piece of the 12 by 12 cardstock. I don't suggest using designer series paper for the boxes. You'll want something sturdy like the cardstock. Okay, so I've previously cut this 11 inches by 10 inches. And with the long side at the top, so I've got the 11-inch side at the top, I'm going to score at 5 1/4 and 7 inches. I'm going to turn it so the short side is at top, and I'm going to score at 1 3/4 and 8 1/4. And really on all these, it's going to be 1 3/4 from each side. In addition to that, we need a piece of designer series paper that I previously cut. And this measures 6 1/4 wide by 3 3/4 high. I'm sure I'm going to miss this art gallery paper. It's around for a few more weeks in our January-June catalog. But it's been a little while since I used it, so I thought I'm going to pull this out again. And I like how it looks with the Poppy Parade cardstock, so it's just nice and bright, cheerful. So burnish all of those folds really well. Now you have a shorter side and a longer side. So that longer side, that taller side is going to be the back, the shorter one, the front. Now is a good time to put your designer series paper on. It's a little bit easier to do. If you forget and put your box together and need to go back, that's not a problem. It's just that it's a little bit easier to put it on now while it's laying flat. It out. And then next you're going to need a pair of scissors. Typically when I'm making cards and my paper crafts, I'm typically using my small paper snips, but today I'm using larger ones, and I'll explain why. I like, and not so much this, but a step later, sometimes it's nice just to be able to make your cuts in one easy cut, instead of having to snip and snip again on those straight lines. So you're going to cut on those short score lines and then cut out a little angle from that center piece, from that square flap. The next thing I'm going to do is fold these small flaps in. And I like to use tear and tape. You need something, an adhesive that's very sturdy. And for me, tear and tape is my adhesive of choice when I'm making 3D projects or boxes. Another good strong adhesive to use would be our Seal Plus adhesive. And if you don't have either of those, I would suggest using the liquid glue or multi-purpose glue. Okay, before I pull off the backings, I want to show you this again. So this is going to be the back of our box. It's going to stand up. You've got 2 tall sides, 2 medium sides, and then 2 short little ones. Fold these in, put your adhesive there, and we're going to pull these off first. You can see I like to use my piercing tool on my take your pick to help pull up those backings. Now I'm going to fold the back, that long side, to the short side. I'm not worried about matching up the sides here. What I want to match up is the bottom edge of that long flap with the score line of the short one. Hi Judy, hi Kim and Gigi. Hi, Cindy. I love it when you all say hello to me and to others. That's awesome. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Match up the bottom edge of that long flap to the score line of the short flap. And press that in place nicely. So now you can see the box coming together. That's my back. Now I'm ready to pull off the backings on my other pieces of adhesive. And same thing, match up the bottom of the flap with that small score line. And if you do that, the sides are going to line up really nicely. Same thing on the opposite side. Whoops. There. Now to make sure, because it's hard to press that down nicely, to make sure that's pressed down, that adhesive is pressed down real smoothly and the sides are sticking together nicely, just go in there with your bone folder. Hi Joan, welcome. Glad to have you. Now, and this is where I said for me it's easier to use a scissors with a longer blade than my paper snips, which I usually use, because I want to make one cut from this corner to that corner. It's super easy to do with a longer blade because I can just line up my blades with those two corners. Easy peasy. So this is one completed box. If you want to decorate it, you can wrap bows around it. You could even make labels, you know, file or embossing folders. You could do large embossing folders, simply just like that. Okay. Would you like me to make the other sizes for you? If you do, I have the pieces all cut and ready. You can see how quickly that came together. It's 8:18. So even with my talking and chatting and welcoming and announcements, we're under 15 minutes of making that. So a great way to, and you might even think of some other uses for that. I should tell you the finished piece on that is about 6 3/4 inches by 1 3/4. Okay, so 6 3/4 wide. You might even use them like for notepads. I always have a bunch of little notepads and notebooks around. I would say it's pretty sturdy, Gigi. It's standing on its own, and I've pretty much got it full. I could probably fit another 1, maybe 2 embossing folders in here. My suggestion, if you wanted to make it even sturdier, would be to cut a piece of cardboard that would fit in the bottom, and maybe even one for the back here, or maybe stick in an additional piece of cardstock here if you want to make it sturdier. But I'm planning on using it like this. It's something that I will keep on my desk or right next to the shelf on my craft space. This is 5 embossing folders, and like I said, I think you could definitely fit one more in, maybe 2. And if you have a lot more embossing folders than that, you just make several of them, and you can categorize them by patterns, you know, by themes like nature or trees, flowers, that sort of thing, geometric shapes, that sort of thing. All right, for the medium embossing folder, or to hold the standard size embossing folder, start with 11 inches by 8 1/4. So I had 11 by 8 1/2 piece of cardstock, and I just cut off 1/4 of an inch. So I now have 11 by 8 1/4. Again, for all of these, you're going to score the same way on the long side. 5 1/4 by 7 inches. And we really are, I should say that we really are maximizing the length of the cardstock to, so that, you know, you can't really make it much wider unless you would shorten your sides, which is a possibility, but then you have to consider is the weight of your embossing folders going to tip if the sides are a little shorter. So it can be done, but I like the taller sides. Okay, what did I say? 5 1/4 by 7 inches. And on the short side, I'm scoring at 1 3/4 inches and 6 1/2. And then my piece of designer series paper for this one is right here. And I know I'm going to put it on that smaller panel, smaller center panel, and that measures 4 1/2 inches wide by 3 3/4 high. So really the height on all of these, the measurements are going to be the same. And if it's easier to remember, score 1 3/4 on each side rather than 1 3/4 and 6 1/2 and all that, you can. It is a good idea to label them and put an index card there, or perhaps print out the words you need and maybe punch them with some of our Stampin' Up! Punches, or make them even fancier with some of our fancier label dies. There are so many things you can do to personalize them, to make them your own. And then, of course, when people are coming over to your place to craft with you, they're going to notice those and say, "Where'd you get those from?" And you'll say, "Well, I made them, of course," which is always fun. And they will ooh and ah, I'm sure. And then you'll probably have to teach them how to do it too, or refer them to my video. Again, on those small center flaps, you want to cut out some little triangles. That just helps not have so much bulk at the bottom where we want everything to meet. Fold the small tabs in, add our tear and tape, use colors and designer series papers that make you feel happy when you're creating, or perhaps match some of your decor in your home or your craft room. Or if you have a she shed. I don't need a she shed because I live by myself, but I always thought those were the coolest things. Not to mention, I love that commercial. Nobody burn down your she shed, Cheryl. But sometimes I come across things like that on Facebook, Pinterest, you know, the she sheds, and I'm just amazed at what people do in small spaces. Not only to make it organized and functional, but just the way they decorate it. And you know, just how pretty and fun and pleasant they look. Very welcoming. All right, matching the bottom of the large flap to the score line. That small score line, same thing on the other side. Match the bottom edge of the large flap, long flap, to the small score line there. Oops. And once again, I'm matching the bottom edge of this flap to that score line. And if you do that, your sides will all line up really nicely. Always work from that bottom edge and that small score line. One, two, and now it's ready for some embossing folders. And this one, how many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this one. Now, the standard ones aren't typically as thick as some of our others. That's the other thing. Some of these are our old dynamic folders, which are pretty darn thick, and those are retiring, so I will take those out of there. So this will probably hold 7 or 8 this size. I think 8 for sure. And then, would you like to see the third one? It's quick and easy, might as well take a look. And then I'm going to show you 2 more uses for that middle size box, which means I'll probably be making more. Okay, so for the smallest size that fits those smaller embossing folders, this is that pack of 2 from the Forever Greenery Suite. Oh, you are most welcome. Okay, here is the next one. I'm starting with 11 inches by 7 1/4. And once again, I will score at 5 1/4 and 7 inches. I'm going to turn this the opposite direction and score at 1 3/4 and 5 1/2. Burnish all those score lines, give them a nice crease with my bone folder. I will add my piece of Designer Series paper now, and this, oops, I have to check my measurement on this. Seems like it's off a tiny bit. I think I actually cut it in the wrong direction that I wanted. So the measurement for the Designer Series paper on this is, I need it to be, I'm trying to see which way I have. I was trying to make all the flowers go the same direction. I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? On this one, it is 3 1/2 by 3 3/4 high. Not sure what I did wrong on that one. And I'm trying to just get that big flower in there. So I know it kind of wastes paper, but I'll find a way to use those scraps. I'm gonna cut a little more off the bottom here, some of that blank space, just so I could get more of the big flower in there. You don't need to do that, certainly. And if you're using small prints, that really is not even an issue. Oh, there I go. You know what? I think something's wrong here. 1 3/4, and that one's 1 3/4, so it must be this. should be 3 1/4, not 3 1/2. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. Cut the wrong side. Okay, come on, Mary. You feel my pain, don't you? So I've got 3 1/2, which seems right. And this is 3 3/4. One of these must be off. Mary, Mary, Mary. No, I don't know what's off. There's 5 1/4. I have no idea. Because it's the same as that. You know what? I think I cut it. That's my problem. I have no idea. But anyways, I'm continuing on. Because that's, sometimes you just got to roll with it, right? But I'm going to trim a little bit off of this. It may be, but my one score line is just off a tiny bit. But I'm going to make this work. Okay, that looks better. At least it has an even border now. That would have bugged me if I didn't have an even border of the Poppy Parade behind this. Okay, let's press that into place, and then we're going to do our cutting again. A straight line and an angled line. Straight and angled. Straight and angled. Straight and angled. And now we just put it together the same way. Again, if you don't have tear and tape or the Seal Plus, go ahead and use your liquid glue, your white glue, or multi-purpose glue. That works really well too. I'm just glad, I just prefer this over that because I don't have all the drying time. It dries pretty quickly, but there's no drying time, obviously, with the tear and tape, so this is a little better suited for a Facebook Live. Now, you know, I often give away my cards that I make during my Facebook Live. This is not something I can put in the mail to you, but I do have a giveaway. So you want to be sure and comment throughout. And I have a few brand new extra embossing folders. I'm not even sure which ones they are. I'll have to take a look. But I will give away an embossing folder so that when you make these, you will have something, an extra something to put in it. And I'm thinking I have two different ones. So whoever name I choose, you know what I did wrong? Oh yes, this is the small one. Okay, I was thinking, did I not make the small one? Okay, it looked bigger to me. But look at that, everything is the same. I must be off just like a hair on that DSP. So there's that. Okay, later when I choose the winner to receive an embossing folder, I will message you and I will give you a choice. I will tell you which embossing folders I have extra and I will give you a choice. So be sure and comment. Now, so we have all three of these. I'm going to lay them this way. Now I told you that the medium-sized one I have some other uses for as well. So let me show you this. I have to see where it is. Okay, how about this? Our greeting cards and envelopes, our hand stamp cards fit right in there perfectly. So if you're somebody who, and I'm thinking for me, this would be good because as I'm designing, I can drop in all the cards and I know right where they are and they'll all be organized. And I'll have them ready to show on Facebook Lives, to photograph, to write blog posts and tutorials on, things like that. I'm always got piles of cards banded with rubber bands and sticky notes on there saying, to be photographed, write a tutorial. And if I did some of these, that would take care of that. So that's one solution. Oh, and if you like to give away cards as gifts, how awesome is this? And gosh, I don't even know how many cards you can fit in here. Let me see if I can grab some. Okay, I just grabbed a bunch of cards from my display stand. And so some of these are old. They're all birthday cards. Oh my gosh. I probably couldn't have planned it any better. Let's count and see how many are in here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 cards. You could make several of these and use them to categorize and organize your cards. You know, birthdays, sympathy, the holidays, thinking of you, thank you. And you could have a little label for each one. Or put the cards in here that you've made. Everybody likes to receive your handmade cards as gift. And you can tie it up with a bow, add a tag, or perhaps you could even put it in a cellophane bag and wrap it at top and tie it with a pretty bow and tag there. So that's another use. The other use I thought of, see, I'm coming up with so many of these, and I know you're going to come up with ones too. You know, do you get like from, if you make a donation to a charity and then they send you things afterwards, like notepads and address labels and things? I use those, and so many times I have notepads everywhere. Great place to organize those. But look at this. Now these are all kind of a mess. My embellishments. Some aren't even in their packages, so it's kind of a mess. There's some navy blue ones. But you get the idea. Some of the holiday rhinestones. There's a new package of rhinestones, so you get the idea. You can have all of your embellishments, or the majority of them, in here, and you just flip through them and you pull out what you want. And the way I have been storing mine is in these stamp cases, which is fine, but then I'm always get them out and flip them through. This way I don't have to open it. I pull off the shelf and flip right through, grab what I need. Easy peasy. what is it? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So that is tonight's Facebook Live. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation, or demonstration, I should say, of how to make some organizational boxes for your embossing folders, as well as perhaps your embellishments, or even to box cards for your own purposes, maybe to categorize. I love the idea somebody said about having ones for different holidays and you stick the cards in. Avis, the designer series paper is Fine Art Floral, and it is in the January to June mini catalog, Fine Art Floral. And it's lovely. It is lovely. If you want to see it, I can show you really fast some of the other prints. That's the back of the one I used. Here's one. There's another. There's one. That. I think I missed one somewhere. Oh, my fingers don't want to work. Nope, that's the same. So it really is gorgeous paper. But choose colors, choose papers that appeal to you, that will brighten your day or help you enjoy your time in your craft room even more than you already do. Any questions about anything? A reminder, I will take a picture of everything as well as the dimensions, and I will include it on my on this post under the video. So you'll at least have it until I get this all written up as a blog post and put it on there along with the video, and also put it on my YouTube. So thanks for spending part of your Wednesday evening with me. I really enjoyed this. I feel kind of pumped up now, like I need to get in here and clean up the mess I have in my craft room. You don't want to see it right now. Too many piles on the floor right now, and I've worked hard to avoid doing that, but somehow I fell into that trap recently. So that's on my agenda for tomorrow, and doing something like this motivates me to clean and organize. You might even think of ways to use these in other rooms of your home. Who knows? If you have some ideas, please share them here. Cardboard and the paper pumpkin kits. Oh, that's a good idea. Also, that white board that is in the back of the designer series paper packs, that would help too. All right, have a good evening. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday with another project, and it is super cute. I can't wait to show it to you. It is a 3D item, and it is something that you can use for giving gifts for Mother's Day, Father's Day, graduations, teacher appreciation, even birthdays. So be sure to tune in on Friday for that. Have a good night. Bye-bye.